Before we begin our next story, let me show you some images. This is Pope Francis, the Holy See, the sovereign of the Vatican. Now this is him wearing a puffer jacket, riding a motorcycle and drinking beer at a music festival. No, the Pontiff is not leading a double life, not that we know of. These images are deep fakes, meaning digitally altered images of the Pope, created using artificial intelligence. Last year, when these images went viral, all eyes were on the Holy See, which is why today the Pope has travelled across Italy from St. Peter's Square to Bari to make a historic intervention at the G7 summit. The Pope was welcomed by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. There was banter, goofing around and some expectation setting.
Ancora vivi? Siamo in due. Da tu. Mi fa tanto piacere, un grande regalo questa tua presenza. Grazie. Veramente. Sono molto contento. Sarà una lunga giornata, lei lo sa.
Afterwards, the Pope greeted leaders from G7 and other nations. Macron put his jacket on as a mark of respect. Argentina's Javier Milei shared a hug. Biden shared a close moment with the Pope, quite literally, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted him like an old friend. After the meet and greet, the Pope got down to business. He spoke about artificial intelligence.
Faced with the marvels of machines, which seem to know how to choose independently, we should be very clear that decision-making, even when we are confronted with its sometimes dramatic and urgent aspects, must always be left to the human person. We would condemn humanity to a future without hope if we took away people's ability to make decisions about themselves and their lives by dooming them to depend on the choices of machines.
He pushed for stronger guardrails on AI and stressed on the ethical implications of the technology.
We need to ensure and safeguard a space for proper human control over the choices made by artificial intelligence programs. Human dignity itself depends on it. This starts from an effective and concrete commitment to introduce ever greater and proper human control. No machine should ever choose to take the life of a human being.
Now, he's the first pontiff to address this summit. But this should not come as a surprise because Pope Francis has a record of breaking convention. He is known to weigh in on world affairs. He has sent loud messages on ending the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. He has approved blessings for same-sex couples. He has pushed for women's participation in governing the church. For a sovereign of the Vatican, these are all bold opinions and decisions. But what is surprising is this. Technology is not obvious territory for the church. So why is a pope talking about AI? Yes, the matter is personal for him, but his concerns go far beyond this unintentional stint of sneaker modeling. As a young man, the pontiff trained as a chemist. Technology interests him. He believes AI offers exciting opportunities, but he also foresees grave risks to mankind. So from a moral authority lens, this is something that the Pope can talk about, and he has. Since the launch of ChatGPT, AI has dazzled the world. But there are fears about AI safety as well, from risks in everyday life to creation of bioweapons. Time and again, the Pope has echoed these concerns. In his annual peace message this year, Pope Francis called for an international treaty on artificial intelligence. The Vatican Research Institute has issued a document as well. It lays out principles for the ethical use of AI. Top tech players, including Microsoft, IBM and Cisco, have signed this document. And this is the soft power of the papal office. Giorgia Meloni knows this. So it is not surprising that she would invite the Pope to talk about a mutual concern. Last year, Italy placed a temporary ban on ChatGPT. It also plans to penalize the misuse of AI. Meloni supports an ethical framework for artificial intelligence. And what better than give it a push during the G7 summit that she is hosting? With G7 leaders who are at the forefront of the AI debate, the European Union has a wide-ranging AI Act. It is set to take effect over the next 2 years. Japan is drawing up a code of conduct for AI developers. It has a framework of global regulation for AI. The US is calling for an AI legislation. Britain pushed for a dialogue during an AI summit last year. So slowly but surely, G7 nations are trying to regulate artificial intelligence. Meloni can only hope that the papal star power gives them a boost. Fan of Italy's famous cuisine? Well, we are serving it with a side of diplomacy. As the G7 leaders gather in southern Italy, Vantage is taking you to the heart of the action. What's the agenda? Who is invited? And how is Italy preparing for it? Catch the special edition of Vantage throughout this week, only on Firstpost. Fan of Italy's famous cuisine? Well, we are serving it with a side of diplomacy. As G7 leaders gather in southern Italy, Vantage is taking you to the heart of the action. What's the agenda? Who is invited? And how is Italy preparing for it? Catch the special edition of Vantage throughout this week, only on Firstpost.